Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new riggin' around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just cause I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am your host, Quentin Flores. This is Uncut with Q. In the show, guys, we pretty much talk about everything business, entrepreneurship, really all kinds of crazy shit. If this is your first time listening, we have multiple different types of shows that we do. We have Q and Trey, Surf the Web, which we haven't done in a while. We need to really visit that. We do Q&A with Ian Q, my friend Aaron and I. We answer your questions. Go to quentinflores.com/ask Ian Q and just submit your questions. We'll answer them live. I have Mindset with Mitzi, where my friend Mitzi comes through and we just basically talk about energy and some hippie ass shit. But it's very valuable information. I shit you not. Last time we did this, I fucking cried. Anyways, we have breakthroughs on these shows, right? And then I have one where I call Real Talk, where I come in here and I say some shit from my mind. With this being said, my favorite show, and we do this a lot, is where I bring on a guest that does amazing things in their life. To be honest, they've either overcome some badass shit, you know, they come from something fucking crazy and they just were able to make something out of their lives and or, you know, lose a bunch of weight or build a business or anything. You know what I'm saying? We have my friend Anthony Lopez. He's heavy to modified on TikTok. He's going to be flying in next week to be on the show. And this guy was 600 plus pounds and he weighs 250 now. And he's like total bodybuilder status. He's going to talk about weight loss. So we bring people on that do crazy shit. With that being said, this is one of those shows. I have a really awesome guest with me today. Go on ahead and introduce yourself to the world.
Hey guys, I'm super excited to be here. My name is Elizabeth Shiger. So I'm excited to talk about all those things. I think I've had experience in one of all the things you mentioned. So.
It's awesome to have you on. I know that like we're both in the real estate space. And I've always just seen you doing awesome things and building amazing things. I guess, I mean, I really don't know anything about you. Where are you from?
I'm actually from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So I moved to Texas in the 90s. I don't want to say how old I am, but in the 90s. So
she's 21, clearly.
Yes, just turned 22. So probably in 95, I think I moved to Dallas. So I've been in Texas a long time.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
Huge Cowboys fan.
Awesome.
I ran into you at the game.
That's right. I totally fucking forgot. I just wanted you to say that on film.
Yeah. So we moved to Dallas, like right in the Dallas, like in the 90s when they were huge. And I think they won two in a row and then a third.
They did. It was 3 in a row.
Yeah, I forgot.
We haven't really been there since, but it's still fun to go.
We will.
Yeah,
we're
eventually.
Come back. Yeah. But yeah, it was a great time to move to Dallas, and we had season tickets to all the sports events. So I quickly fell in love with football. I mean, I'm Canadian, so I love hockey, but football's right up there.
I've heard hockey is badass. Like I've only ever gone to a few local games. Like I think the team that we have here is Rampage or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a fucking cool like sport. And then you see them throw down, you know, like. Yep. I just think it's awesome that the refs let them do that.
Sure, yeah.
I've heard. Mm-hmm. Dude, so what brought you here to Dallas when you decided to move here in the 90s?
So my mom remarried an American. He had been retired up in my small town where I'm from. So he got a job opportunity with Mary Kay, which is based in Dallas. So off we went.
That's badass. Mm-hmm. Mary Kay, that's like a multi-level marketing thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, especially, it was a big deal.
I know, because I used to be in Amway a long time ago. I've talked about this before on the podcast. It's one of my worst things that I think I ever mentioned. Don't judge me, right? Because I was selling products that were like stupid fucking expensive, you know? And I just didn't really believe in what I was trying to sell. And I had recruited probably 60 to 80 people in my downline. And it was pretty cool to be a part of that business. It's a phenomenal business model. I learned about business from the Amway organization. So like, I mean, I could imagine, I'm sure that like with Mary Kay, it's a lot of sales, a lot of recruiting. And I mean, there's a lot of business models that exist that are very similar. What did you learn from being a part of that world?
Well, gosh, it goes on forever. My dad was a vice president, so he wasn't really involved as far as like the makeup sales and the ladies door to door, whatever, you know, the Avon ladies and stuff like that. But
of course.
Funny enough, my first real passion in life was the beauty industry. My first job was for Bedhead. And then I quickly after that started my own businesses all in hair and makeup. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, being around Mary Kay, like the ins and the outs, was kind of cool, and it was a big coincidence that I fell into the same category. But I did learn a lot from my dad as far as sales and marketing goes.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
for sure.
So you started your own beauty business, right?
I did.
What was it called? Is it still something that you do actively?
No. So I sold my business right around COVID.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, I bet that fucking hurt too, man.
oh man, like it, but it was. I'm so grateful because it was like a life change for me. I'm gonna say my age, even though I didn't want to. I'm 42. So when
You look fucking amazing,
Thank
dude.
you.
You're fucking gorgeous. Rock
tried.
that shit. You look
But-
great.
Thank you. So I've been in hair and makeup for, since I was 19. So right when COVID happened, it was like a huge awakening. We had to shut down our businesses. We couldn't practice. Like, it was the first time I didn't have a steady income. And I was panicking of what am I going to do? And then how long are we going to be closed for? And then I had a whole bunch of employees to worry about. So,
Oh, man.
you know, I sat at home just thinking of all alternatives. I was tired. I was tired of the business. So it was kind of a moment where I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to change my entire career at 40 so I can be passionate about something again. So while we were closed for all that time, I got my real estate license. I, researched. I read a ton of books. I reached out to people. And then I was lucky and blessed that one of my employees made me an offer to buy my business. So it was like perfect timing. Everything
Wow.
worked out. So it was a sign to, like, I have to go for it now. I just have to change everything.
You know what I love about what you just mentioned, and it's such a small thing, and I got to highlight it. It seems like one of the things that you really cared about was the people who depended on you. You know, and that's the hardest part about letting a business go is that you have so many people, their lives are dependent on your ability to provide them environment that they're able to work in, whether they're doing makeup or they're working within your infrastructure, whatever it may be. You know, a lot of people don't think about that, but when you're like a boss, bro, and you got like employees, it's like being a dad over 10, 15, 20, 50 times over. Because
really, really
if you
is.
have a big heart, like, bro, I'm a Cancer, right? So like July was good. With me, I mean, I'm not like a horoscope fucking genie or anything, but I'll say that I got a big fucking heart. And so, like if I have to leave a bunch of people behind, that's going to be the hardest part of it, not even the business aspect.
I think, that was a huge stress for me. Like, how do I make sure everyone's going to make it? And I'm one of those leaders where, like, I eat last. So I make sure everyone's taken care of and I'm last on the list. So, that was a big part of it. But another push for me to also, I was done, like, running a business with employees. I wanted to kind of do something different where I can relax. It's not the case. It ended up being like I started a whole ass company. But that was the intention, was to kind of take a break from the stress of being a business owner.
And it is, and in real estate and business, like really real estate is the same thing too, because that's where you pivoted, right?
Yeah.
You started meeting people in the real estate space and then learning about the investing world. When you were going to get your license, were you looking at the retail side or were you looking at the investment side?
No, so I've always invested in real estate here and there. I've been too busy to do it like full time, but we did a flip here and there. I wholesale the property without even knowing what wholesale was. 10 years ago, I had found a house that was a really great deal, and the lady signed a contract, and I panicked because I couldn't afford to do that flip. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what's going to happen? I have this contract. So I called someone. She's like, I'll buy the contract from you. I was like, you can do that? So she paid me $15,000
Wow.
for the contract. So I still didn't know after that was kind of like a wholesale, but yeah. So I did a little bit here and there. I really loved it. I just didn't have time. I mean, I ran a whole company. So,
This was, you said 10 years ago. This is around 2013.
oh yeah, long time.
That's crazy.
Maybe even longer. I don't know. But
I was in a townhouse trapping. I was selling weed at that time.
okay.
It was wild, but I joined a mentorship group, right?
Yeah.
While I was selling pot, I was in this mentorship group and they were teaching me how to buy real estate and hold on to it. I didn't have no fucking money to buy no real estate.
Yeah, but
bro.
selling pot is kind of the same
It was.
concept as, you know.
I didn't know this. So those guys that were all there, they looked at me like fresh meat. Like when I say fresh meat, like we can use this guy. You know what I'm saying? So they would literally fucking send me out to houses. They tell me, Q, we're trying to buy all the houses in 78209. Knock on all of these doors and find me somebody who wants to sell. If you can put me in contact with someone who wants to sell, I'll pay you $500 to $1,000. So they give me like this zip code, and all I would do is fucking drive in my beat up Ford Focus. I drove a 2003 Ford Focus that my sister sold to me for $1,000, and I'd knock on doors and shit, and I'd find people that were like hardcore wanting to sell their house. And this was like the peak of the market, you know? And so like I'd put them in contact with the investor would buy the crib, and I'd make $1,000. I didn't know what fucking wholesaling was yet. And apparently I could have put those properties under contract and sold the paperwork. And I don't know, man, I look back on the time and I wish I could just like do it again. But I'm also glad that I lived those experiences, because it really benefits me now where I'm at currently. And now that I understand opportunity. And also I'll never do that to anybody that's in this office. Whenever my guys are in this office or even the other office find deals on their own, I just tell them, let's do it down the middle, dude. I'll show you how to do the whole fucking thing. You know, and that's what we operate on abundance. Because I remember those sleazeball investors from that group that I was working with and how they did me dirty, you know? So I don't ever want to do somebody like that.
I'm the same. I think if you ask anyone, whatever company it was that I ran at the time, I'm very, very fair with how I pay people. So an example of what my beauty industry did, we're kind of like a mobile beauty bar. So we would do weddings and whatever, and travel and do hair and makeup for weddings mostly, and production, whatever. So I had probably around 15 to 20 girls working for me at a time. So when they would go do 10 makeup on location one day, and each one was 100, I would always split it at least 50-50. If not, I would give them 60 and I would take 40. And most companies were around like a 30 split. And none of those girls ever quit. They stayed with me forever because I took care of them. I made the environment great. Why would they want to leave? So it's the same in real estate too. I have a team, and even my acquisitions, when I tell people what I pay my acquisitions, they're like, dang, that's high. So
that's beautiful though.
I pay 40 or 50%. I mean, you start at 40, but like my partners all now get 50%. So I don't see them ever leaving if you make sure that they have all the tools and ability to be just like as successful, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, you know, what was the decision that you made that you wanted to go into real estate? Was that experience that you had just flipping generally before?
So I've always loved real estate. If you were to ask, you know, when you ask people what they want to do when they grow up, or you know, if anyone asks me what I'm kind of passionate about, it's always been real estate. I just never had the time to do it. So for me, I really have to, and I was super passionate about hair and makeup at one point. That's why I got into it. But I have to be passionate about something that I'm doing. So it was a no-brainer when I was kind of tired with my beauty business to do something else that I'm passionate about, so that I can go all in. And I'm a hustler. My work ethic is amazing. So
I can tell it was hard for me to get you here because you're so busy.
I just love real estate so much, and not traditionally. Like I don't take listings unless an investor wants me to list their property. Like traditional real estate is boring. I love anything where I can teach people how to be free, financially free. Like real estate is such a great opportunity for everyone. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of people understanding how to get into it. So
of course,
I'm passionate about it. I get excited when I talk about it. So it was a no-brainer. I wanted to start over with something that made me excited.
And you know, it's technically still beauty because you're buying these ugly houses and then turning them into something beautiful for a family.
It really is.
It's like almost the same thing. I mean, obviously different, you know, metrics and parameters, but that was one of the things that I noticed so heavily, like going into real estate. Instead of looking for stinky weed, I was looking for stinky houses.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Some people don't get it. I mean, I go to the office. We have an office of agents we're a luxury team. So they go see nice houses all day in the Dominion or wherever it is.
Beautiful
and
places.
I come back with fleas and I'm like disgusting. And I'm like, man, I saw this house that was amazing. If I showed them pictures, they'd be like, disgusting. I smell like the house, you know, but
Oh my God.
all I see is beauty and money when I walk these properties, old houses especially. It gets me excited of I see the after.
I love it.
It is like a makeover.
It's cool seeing that like the transition in your life. I think a lot of people are afraid to switch passions, you know, and that could be the very thing that holds them back. Is like, oh, I just love doing this so much. They can never see themselves in another field, you know. Like I meet a lot of people that are dancers, and I meet a lot of people that are music artists as well. Because you know, just being in that space, I've done music before, and I get a chance to see it. It's like a lot of them just don't believe that there's more than what they're trying to do.
I don't know, man. It's like almost like an awakening. Like some people are just comfortable.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
They don't have the ability to get uncomfortable, to change their life. So you're in your situation, or you're in the house that you're in and the car you're in because of who you are right now. If you want that house in the Dominion, you got to be uncomfortable. You got to change. You got to change who you are to put yourself in a situation to have those things. So being comfortable is very easy.
It is. And you know what? I just think that a lot of people, they put that in, they put themselves in a cage when they do that, you know? I'm like, fucking, dude, I love being uncomfortable. That's the only way I grow. If you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, you probably get there a lot faster. So I want to ask you a little bit about your real estate business. When you started getting off of the ground, you know, I'd say, like, how long have you been doing this, first of all?
Well, it's out now. I didn't tell people because it's almost, some people judge you or your experience on how long you've been doing something. So I wouldn't really say, but honestly, again, I got my license during COVID. I wasn't actively using it because I was in the transition of selling my business and getting into real estate. So I did start at New Western for like a month.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't know any better. No hate to New Western, and there's some great people at New Western.
Oh, absolutely.
But everyone told me if you want to do like investment real estate, that's where you go to work. So I started there. My dad passed away shortly after I started, so
Sorry.
I had to leave to go to Florida with my mom, and it ended up being months. So by my boss kept calling me and like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And eventually I was like, I can't tell you. Family is so important to me, so I just can't tell you. Might as well. I'm just not going to come back. So I came back, and somebody reached out to me, Ray. That used to work with me at New Western for a minute, and he had switched over to HBHS.
Oh, sweet.
So he reached out to kind of give his condolences. And then I was like, let's meet up. And at that time, in my mind, I was just going to flip houses. I wasn't going to practice real estate. I was just going to flip and list. So I wanted to meet up with him. I wanted to meet up with anyone I could. If you get a house, send it to me first. Like, I wanted all the deals. So we met up, and I met him at the office at HBHS. 10 minutes later, I had a job. Like, I walked in and left with a job without really, that was not my intentions. But yeah, so I was like, here I am again. I'm going to, start wholesaling and practicing. And I'm grateful. I learned so much from him and Mike and Charles. So,
of course,
not that I was there very long, but I was there long enough to, learn what I needed to. And I'm just one of those people that, as much as I didn't want to start a whole ass company again, I just have to do things my way. I'm a control freak, so.
You know what that is, though? There's this quote that I love, and it's something that Jim Carrey said. He says, my soul is not limited by my body. My body is based within the limitlessness of my soul. And so if you try to trap that amount of energy, or you try to stay with a roof over it, it's impossible, because you're going to continuously grow beyond it. And so the world is your playground. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I love so much about business. I used to work at a company before. I worked for a company called ATW Investments. The guys listen to this, fuck you, but thank you. Like, fuck you, but thank you, because I know now how to be a good boss. That company's dissolved, and that guy ended up getting buried in lawsuits. So he's not even relevant anymore. But he fired me. He fired me because he said that I was doing too good, and that I was making his own assistant that was like, I don't know why the fuck this girl was in the position that she was in, uncomfortable. And I don't know what I even did. I just showed up, worked, did my thing. This chick logged into my fucking Facebook and told everybody that I was like stealing deals from the company. I wasn't. I was just showing the deals that we had to investors that were on Facebook. Homeboy got that impression of me that I was a thief and kicked me out of the company. Literally within 6 months, the company dissolved. They moved from a downtown office to a smaller one, and now it's non-existent, you know? But, you know, people are going to serve a very small portion of your life with you. And it's maybe the end of their time frame in that book, but it's not the end of that story.
People are with you for a reason or a season, whatever it is.
Exactly, because it happens in seasons. Just like trees, the leaves fall and they die, and next thing you know, the tree's reborn and it's beautiful and green again. Yep. And sometimes that's just the way that we are with our lives and the people that we meet, because the older that I get, the more people that I have to leave behind. But I get to decide that the people that I meet me at this level, that meet me at this current age group that I'm at, and this mindset that I'm at, I now have that decision on who I allow into my proximity, because I have that control, you know?
Yeah.
And you've already been through it. Regardless of whether or not you tell me that you've only been in real estate for a few years, I can see a very experienced woman just by looking at you. You're not somebody to play around with, and you're not somebody that can be contained. So it's great that you spent your time there, right? And dude, they're good friends of mine, right? I love that you even brought them into the podcast.
Respect,
Mad respect. You know, but see you fly now in your own light, that's what's beautiful to me. You know what I'm saying?
So sweet. Yeah, I think being a good business person is a mindset for sure. That's just who I am. No matter what business it may be, I'm going to make it great. So even though I've been technically 2 years in real estate, it's just not possible for me to be anything but the best. It's just not. And
you have life experience too.
For sure. And age, I mean, age is experience. There's nothing, I mean, things that used to bother me even 5-10 years ago don't even bother me now. So it's for sure age changes everything. And people, like knowing who I need in my circle, you know, maybe even 10 years ago, I wanted 20 friends and wanted to go out. But now I know like quality is better over quantity for sure. And that goes with friends, business relationships, employees, all the things, who you have dinner with. I'm not, you know, if you're not meeting my energy or above, like I don't really have time for any sort of relationship in any capacity.
In any capacity.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Now you have a full-blown real estate company. Tell me what that looks like. What do you got going on?
We're babies right now. So I, you know, I was with Manny before we did Insta Equity. Of course. So we started that together, and then we recently branched off. So he's still doing Insta Equity. So I started Bella Capital. I get so many referrals, and I'm super busy being a one-man team. But I have Kristen, my partner, and then I have another silent partner that does our broker and all that stuff.
I love it.
But we're really busy just being the two of us that I haven't actually allied. We do have some VAs and acquisitions, but they're all over the country doing like part-time. But mostly it's me and Kristen, and we're fairly new, so we're busy, but we're killing it. I mean, I think we broke Investor Lift's monthly record 2 months in a row.
Yo, shout out to Robert Winsley with
I love
Investor
Robert
Lift.
and John.
Good friends of mine.
Yeah, they're great people.
I love it, dude. I mean, honestly, it's cool to just hit the ground running.
Yeah,
what would you say that you've learned in your beauty business that you applied right now to your real estate business?
Yeah. So even though it's a totally different industry, all my principles are the same. So I believe in building a great team and providing all the tools everyone needs to be successful. The business aspect of any business is the same for me and how you run it. With most important for me is integrity. I love to be transparent. So my goal is to, I don't like calling myself a wholesaler or a company wholesale. I mean, it has kind of a bad stigma attached to the word, right?
It does, yeah.
So I really wanted to elevate the world of investment real estate. So I didn't like attaching the word wholesaler. I have a license. We don't just assign properties. We look at any property that is an investment opportunity. We vet our buyers, so we have a small pool of really great buyers that buy really great opportunities. And so we just basically look for opportunities for them. So it may be a wholesale, it may be a traditional, maybe we do all kinds of deals. So we don't limit ourselves to just, you know,
Wholesaling.
wholesale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any opportunity is an opportunity we can sell. So I like to elevate the world of wholesaling per se.
I love it. I love it. And it sounds like there's variety of different strategies that you maximize
For sure.
on.
I think in a world that, like, man, wholesalers are doing so much fucked up shit, man.
It is.
In a world where a lot of people are ruining it for the rest of us,
Yep.
you stand apart by doing the right thing. So many people out there are doing bad business that when you do good business, your buyers are going to keep coming back. People seek us out because we're doing good business. They trust us. We're not out scamming people. We're not putting crazy fees on shit. We're so transparent that people appreciate that. So
It's a detail that seems to be missing
yes,
right now.
unfortunately, it's so sad that you have to say that, right? And it's sad that you stand out by doing good business. Everyone should be doing good business. But
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a lot of business now
because you're doing the good business. Good business breeds like good business, and that's what I love about it. You know, the more good that I put out into the world, it tends to come back.
Absolutely.
And that's just like a universal thing. One of the things that I feel like when I first got into the game, this is crazy because I talked about it on a reel, but I'm going to tell you about it now. You can't put everybody on. And what I mean by this is, so I used to go into this tattoo shop, and I would tell this guy that I knew that was a heroin addict that I was doing real estate because he'd see me pull up and I had my suits on and I had my brand new car. This was like 7 years ago. And so he was telling me, he was like, dude, what is it that you do? And so I'm like, I look for people who want to sell their houses and I get them under contract and I flip the paper. And he's like, well, what do I got to do that? And I told him, just go knock on a bunch of doors the same way that those guys had told me. And, I didn't think he was really going to do it. That dude clocked out like right then and there and he didn't show up for work, took a 2-week vacation and he knocked on every single door in San Antonio. Yeah. Put a property under contract, brings it to me. I help him facilitate the entire deal, ends up closing. I sell that shit to a very well-known buyer here in town. I'll just go ahead and say it, Sam Madrid, good friend of mine. But I sold it to his daughter. So it was like even crazier. The whole deal closes. He helped the title company facilitate the entire thing. I was just a silent partner. So I got paid 23 grand. We split it down the middle. Everything was good. 3 months later, I'm speaking on stage, 2017. It moved from 2016 to 2017 with HBHS at my friend Marco Ramiro's event. And I get served on stage. Very embarrassing because I'm speaking to a whole fuckload of people. Man. Like, it is what it is. I just told everybody that, what's my assistant? Hot, whatever, right? Nobody knew, but he handed me an envelope and then was like, and then had to make sure that I signed off on it and gave it to me and everything and then left. Fucking process servers, dude. They got no fucking lives. Anyways, we start going into the lawsuit with my attorney. And turns out that house that we did, my God, this is funny. They start reading off the suit to me, right? That guy that was the heroin addict paid a hooker to have sex with the seller in a hotel while he sat in the corner and watched it happen with a gun in his hand and forced the seller to sign the deed to the property. And the hooker was also a licensed notary.
Shut up.
I was in that shitty ass situation.
With your stories, man.
Bro,
I cannot.
It's real. This was real. Like, this really happened. Yeah, that guy's name was Jason. He was a tattoo artist. Anyways, bro, fucking put me in the shittiest situation ever. I was able to get out of it, thank God, because I had no fucking clue that any of this had went down. And so my attorney got me out of it. I called up Jason. I said, dude, you need to hook me up with the money, bro. We got to pay the seller back. The way that we were going to make the lawsuit okay again was to reverse the whole sale. So the seller would get the house back and the buyer would get their money back. So all the money was returned, but the assignment fee, I had to pay $23K out of my own pocket because that guy spent all that money on fucking gold watch and like a chain that he wanted, and he took his daughter out to some crazy, I think it was Orlando Studios, Florida. So I guess that's the good thing that came out of it. But I told him that I'd never do business with him again. And that's the shadiness that is in this business that people don't talk about. I don't even talk to that guy anymore, but I get a personal call from Sam because I sold that house to his daughter, and Sam says, Quentin, you did the right thing, man.
Of course.
And I just want to let you know that if you need anything, I'm here for you, bro, because you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And in my
always
head,
have to do the right thing. I mean, I have a buyer that we sell a lot to. Everyone knows who he is because I'm pretty sure he buys the most houses in San Antonio.
It's awesome.
But I had sent him a property, and I messed up. I sent it to the wrong price or whatever, and the agent was like, no, I need this for it. I'm like, man, I already fucking sent it to him at this price, and I don't want to be one of those people that comes back, just kidding, it's this.
$5,000 more, 10 grand more.
It would have been probably 15 grand more than what I sent it. So anyway, we took zero fee for it. I basically did the whole thing for free, whatever. And he was like, I want to pay you. Like, let me Venmo you. He even offered to pay my dispo. Like, let me Venmo you. And we were like, no, we want to do right by you. We said this price. We're giving it at this price. You know, that guy calls us all the time and buys everything we have. He does not question a price. He does not think that we're ripping him off. He does not think anything shady about us because of that one thing that we did right by him. He wants us to do like all his deals. You know, it's small things like that that keep people coming back.
It's detail oriented.
Yes.
You know what I love about the beauty business is that you have to be extremely detail oriented. You're looking at the curves in people's cheeks. You're looking at their eyes and their lashes and how they part.
I love that you know that.
Well, I'm just assuming because I look at it from a third eye perspective.
Yeah.
You noticed my nails when we sat down before the cameras are rolling. Right? That means that you're very detail oriented. It's something that's still with you today from that business. I'm positive that that's what it is. And I'm also really good at reading things, but that's just my ADHD. Yeah. So squirrel, I'm kidding. But that's literally what it's like, you know? Yeah. So that's why I have 18 different companies, bro. Cause I can't fucking decide on which one I want. Like I'm ADHD, but they all bleed into each other. So they're like the same business. You know, this is a part of my real estate company. This is a part of what we're going to do when we shoot movies and stuff, but you're so detail oriented. I noticed this about you. It applies to your real estate business so heavily because you just paid attention to that very small thing. And now that you got that buyer that's working with you, that's like a big deal, dude. You got somebody who's like ready to ride. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people in the wholesaling space don't know the value of keeping relationships like this, you know, because wholesaling is so transactional. Would you agree?
For sure. But wholesalers are just so desperate.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And when a buyer thinks that you're desperate, like that buyer's not coming back. I mean, we did this transaction. We'd made no money, right? Mm-hmm. We had done multiple with him before, so he already loves us. But just say if this was the first one, I mean, there's not very many people that wouldn't try to scrounge like any dollar out of it. But when you come across as desperate, people are not going to trust you ever because you do a lot of crazy shit when you're desperate. So,
absolutely.
I mean,
because most people who get into wholesaling, they were never business owners before. And that's where you get the edge up. And when you're telling me like you were young in the business, you're not really, bro. Like you've already been through the business. Yeah. It's just a different field, but business is business. The spectrum of business is universal truth. It's all the same shit. It's people, it's places, it's prices, it's products, it's promotions, it's physical evidence. It's what you give somebody, the service that you leave them, the impact too. Like all six of those things: people, place, price, product, promotion, process. It's the same fucking thing. You take this and you marry it to anything else. So if you ask me, you can tell me that you've been in real estate for 2 years, but fucking I feel like you've been in that bitch for 10, bro, because you already grinding it out and making a name for yourself. I wouldn't have invited you on this podcast if I wasn't impressed with you.
Oh, thanks.
Hair flip real quick. Let's get it. For the people that are watching that are wanting to get into real estate, you know what I'm saying? What is some advice that you would give to that person that's like struggling to figure out where they should start? Because it seems like you really just planted yourself in, you know, but this guy might be afraid to go and like look at a networking event or something, you know, like what was some advice that you would give to that person that's nervous about getting into the industry?
I think real estate is a hustle for sure. So not everyone has that in them. You have to have the ability to multitask, be overwhelmed, all the things. And you get into it. I knew when I started, I was like, I'm probably not going to make some money for like a year. So be good with not making money for a minute. But I took a lot of time networking. I think the best thing you can do when you start is just build relationships. That's all I did. So anybody I met, I would tell them about myself. I would exchange info. So that person you meet today might not buy something from you today, but they might next year. So all the seeds that you're planting today, you're watering them for, spring,
they grow.
for them to grow eventually. So relationships are our best thing right now, especially Kristen. She works on relationships too. We spend all day on the phone, like finding buyers, vet buyers, and we're not selling them maybe a deal that we have on the board right now, but we're gonna, when a deal comes across our desk that we know fits their buy box, we're gonna call them. We're setting everything up.
I love it.
Yeah, networking is for sure the number one thing.
How many calls have you missed being on this podcast with me?
I know, my phone's like, look, it's like blowing up.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate you being on my podcast.
thanks
It means
for
a lot,
having me.
guys. I'm gonna drop all over social media in in the comment section below. I hope you guys got value from this. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get it.